We go on for the next presentation to the lady on my right, Rose Mutuku, who just gave me a very colorful business card. And she is the managing director of Smart Logistics Solution in Kenya, working with women farmers, women groups. And we're very eager to hear from you, Rose.
Thank you.
Please, go ahead.
Give me the microphone. So my name is Rose Mutuku from Kenya, and I'm an entrepreneur, if you like to call it so, but sometimes I don't feel like it because we pass through so many things that you wonder whether you're an entrepreneur. My company is called Smart Logistics Solution Limited. I'm the founder and also the managing director of that company. As I speak about smart logistics, we started in 2009. And when we started, why we call ourselves Smart Logistics is because as we started that company, I was actually in a very tricky situation because I was a village hero. I was the first, many people are heroes, international and all that, but I was a village hero because I was the first person to break the barrier of education in our village. I went all the way to the university level and everybody was looking up to me and wondering, then what's next? So I had to start something that really will give all the women the chances to be also entrepreneurs, the youth there. And now today I have also another problem where I find everybody trying to work in my company in the village, and I'm also having this challenge of trying to ensure that they're having to have a better way to do things in the village, to be able also to be entrepreneurs as I am. So that's not very hard because Kenya, we are known as a country of impossibles, and Kipchoge just proved that, yeah? And I'm going to break that barrier. So we are now delivering food solutions in the country, and we are processors of convenient and nutritious foods. When we started the company initially, we were just aggregators and traders. So I understand about commodity trading. I've been trading, I've been exporting to India. And when 2015 came and I think Kenya was hit by a tax excess duty to a company that was my main buyer, that was the breweries. Then I was hit by the tax and excess duty together with the farmers. And those who know about that story understand the sorghum value chain, the way it was hit, because I was the first entrepreneur to start working on the sorghum value chain. So I went ahead and realized that without value addition, then you cannot pretend that you can command the market. And that is how we started investing in food processing. And today we are innovators of nutritious food based on beans. Why beans, you'll ask me? We've realized that all farmers are growing beans. Everybody is eating beans, and I think beans is a widely accepted crop across the world. But how long does a bean take to cook? We may know that. It takes not even an hour. From preparation to cooking to all the time, we know it takes more than even 3 hours to present a plate of beans on the table. What does it consume? A lot of wood fuel for those of us in Africa. You cannot cook beans without wood fuel, either in charcoal, firewood, whatever, but you have to use wood fuel. You can imagine how many trees the beans consume. Should be even a risky crop, yeah? We also take a lot of water, because you have to, I think a kilo of bean, what you calculated, uses between 5 to 6 liters of water to just present a kilo of bean on the table. So what are we doing as we're doing this? We saw that as we're working with the women farmers, and in my village, I'll say that, we were buying all the beans that the farmers were producing and selling them to the market. Then what happens after the season ends? The farmers can't even afford the beans again. They can't even present food, a decent food, I can say decent food for their children on the table. And that made me guilty because as I'll keep on saying that because I was a hero, everybody would come back to me and tell us, you bought beans from us, can you give us a little? And, and as a business person, that was not sustainable. So what we've been doing is picking the crop that the farmers grow, the beans, the sorghum, and all the African grain crops, and turning them into a more nutritious and presentable food in abundant market form. And as we've seen, beans in the Africa have never been added value in a way that is acceptable to the rural farmers and to the poor, low-income people. We know beans are in cans, in canning form, mostly, the value that it has been added to. But now today, we are picking beans and making them into very I'll come back to our business model. We are picking beans to make them quick to cook foods that cook in 10 minutes without even the need of firewood. And they're in dry form, so the farmer doesn't have to really have a lot of problem handling the beans. You store them in the normal way, and you eat them in the normal way. The only thing is you rehydrate them in 10 to 15 minutes in your hot glass of water, and you have your food ready. So with the beans also, we've gone ahead and come up with other products. We have the pre-cooked pulses in a powder form. In the powder form, if you mix it with water, then it becomes soup, stew, or anything. You can mix it in your shakes for those who are modern, and you'll have a more nutritious food. So it's an enhancer. At the same time, is a meal on the table for the women. We know that in Africa, when there's a hunger, women even go ahead and fry just some tomato as stew for their children. But when you add just a spoon of our bean, then you have a more nutritious food. It's thicker, and we just present nutrition and convenience. That's what I'll say. The products are also affordable because there's no middleman in between the value chain. We just buy from the farmers and we present that in a more formal crop. And our distribution channel is also, incorporating the farmers back. What are we doing? We have developed what we call aggregation centers on the field, but during the time when the crop is not there, then the aggregation centers are idle and the farmers have nothing to do. And we will mostly target what we call the ASAL areas, which is the dry areas in our region. So there's 6 months of dry period and sometimes up to 8 months where the farmers do nothing. So in that period, what are we doing? We are using the women in the system that we are working with to distribute the same food among themselves and also to the neighbors and other areas. That means that they are also making money during that period. We also have we also look at other more modern products. These are the noodles. We have seen that noodles is becoming a big deal, or I can say a very in thing among the youth and the working class. Everybody's going for noodles. But what is noodles? Noodles is only wheat, most of the noodles in Africa. So what have we done to our noodles? We've taken the bean powders that we are working with and added them with the wheat, and you have now a more nutritious crop product on the market. And what are we presenting on the table? We know that African men especially don't like noodles. Why? Because they say that what is in the stomach is also on the table, because it's like a long snake, and they don't like the way that way of feeding. So the noodle that we have presented on the table is chewable, can feel in the mouth, and it's very nice. And then for the other team of people, we have the bean snack. We call it a keroma snack. We are mixing pre-cooked beans, pre-cooked millet, and we are using also mango powders to sweeten it, and honey. And we have a very nutritious chocolate bar because we don't have chocolate in our country. So what are we doing? We are using noodle, we are using the beans, and the bean color is giving our snack that color of a chocolate. And we're presenting a very beautiful, nutritious, and well-balanced snack on the table. So as we do that, then we are partnering with different people. Partnership with the smallholder farmers is key because we don't have farms, and they are able to give us the products we need. Of course, we train them. It is a very heavy investment in there, but a step that we must take. We are also aggregating the same crop and training the farmers to be able to run that. I think we've been supported also by the European Union at some point to put up some aggregation centers, and that one I'm very happy about. And then we are adding value to that and distributing it. You can see our distribution is not on the big supermarket shelves, but on the small shops stocks around the villages and also in the low-income areas of the country. We're also partnering with CALRO, the National Agricultural Research Institute, to help us with the varieties. Not all varieties of beans are nutritious, of course. We are working with new varieties like the Nyota and others, which are making, I think they have high iron and high zinc. That means then we are also giving micronutrient back into the product. In the country also that is working very well because we know that especially those of us who went to boarding schools were eating beans with weevils, yeah? And people were swearing after that they'll never touch beans again. So, so with the modern way of adding beans to our food, then we are able to reach more people, and it is a more acceptable product. So those are the successes that we are going to talk about. But as we talk about that, then there are challenges. As an entrepreneur, you know, everybody says you need to have a business plan, you know, a strategic plan. I'm telling you, if that was workable, more people will be entrepreneurs today. You might do all those business plans and strategic plans, but my friend, you are like swimming with crocodiles. You cannot have a plan on how to maneuver the crocodiles around the river. So there's no way we can involve our plans as you are working. So, you know, we are just deep diving, you are in the dark, sometimes you come out of the light, you know, and then another crocodile pushes you on the other side. If you're going north, you swim back to the south, and, you know, there's no rule to that game. So as SMEs, we really are working in a condition where we need a lot of support. As an SME here, I cannot pretend that I'm a financial expert, I'm a marketing expert, I'm all those experts. I'm not. And then how do you even get those experts on the table? You cannot afford them. You know, someone asks you for a salary and you're like, okay, what do I do now? Do I buy my raw material or do I pay this guy? So you decide to become a marketing expert of what you are not. So I think there's a lot of challenges that SMEs are working on today, both local, integrated within the organization, and regional. I'll talk about the regional ones. As we are trying to enter into the regional markets, we are finding that we have different policies in different countries, and you have to maneuver also another water that you didn't even anticipate. You go that, for example, you have a product that is approved by the standardization organization in your country, but when you go to another country, then you have to start again proving that that product can sell into that country. We also have, you know, we don't have budgets for marketing and promotions, you know, and that becomes a big key issue. When you go into processing, then I have also a very good, you know, testimony, because I was trying also to touch a machine in my organization because, you know, as I told you, we want to be everything as entrepreneurs, and it broke my right hand into small pieces. So today, it looks good, but it is just full of plates inside. So you see, we need also technical skills. We need to be supported with that, to understand how to do all these things. You know, safety has become a big thing. And even if I want to export to Europe, example, I don't have the kosher, I don't know the HACCP, I don't know the ISOs, and all those things cost money and technical. You know, it needs technical backup, and we can't afford that even if we want to work with that as SME. So what are we saying? Although we have all the successes that we are putting on the table, and sometimes we look very good, we still have a lot of things behind us that needs to be supported. And, you know, the banker was talking here, and we know sometimes we have this model of saying that we are going to give the last mile guys money as collateral to the SMEs. It doesn't work. You know, it doesn't work because also they're also looking at other ways to make money. So I think it is about time that we have a roundtable discussion with SMEs to understand our needs, and also to see how can we integrate all this. Research and development is quite key, but we cannot even afford that. I can't even sometimes afford to take my products for what do you call it, just to check the nutritional content into that. There are few laboratories, and at the same time, they are not affordable. So there are all these costs that come with product and SME production, and, but in spite of all that, we're still here, we're still moving, we are very successful, and the regional integration that we are talking about here is going to be a market for us, and globalization and interdependency that we are having in Africa and in the rest of the region, then is something that we can support, and a partnership is all that we are talking about. Thank you.
Many thanks, Rose. And to me, you're not a village hero, you're a global hero.